Hey, welcome to Gold's Garage. So, as you can see, we're at Daryl Waters Dyno Service again in Springfield, Ontario today. And I got my whole team here. Dyno Daryl is going to be in charge of the controls of the dyno. And my carburetor specialist. So, Austin Ward is here, and he brought a couple Quadrajets. One of the things we're going to do today, we're going to test a Quadrajet against the Holley carburetor. And Dave Forrest, you know Dave? Come on, Dave, show us. Sure. Who else has got a Holley carburetor on their forearm? Anyway, so Dave's our Holley specialist, and then the next dyno, we're going to be here July 13th with Todd Brown's 400 Pontiac engine, and we're going to use some of Dave's carburetors on that engine. So, pretty ambitious day today. Thanks to Roland Cron, a good customer, helping me out on the camera today. My usual crew, Mike is not well today, and my other buddy, Alex, is otherwise busy anyway. He just came back from Europe. So anyway, so we're on our own, but we're going to do fine. So we haven't even fired the engine yet. This is just introduction. What we're going to do, talk about the engine a little bit. This is a 355 that I built on spec. It's for sale. And this engine will work good in anything from a Corvette to a pickup truck to an Impala. So it's a pretty docile engine. It's not a big radical deal. It's got a Summit 1105 camshaft, which is 236, dual pattern cam, and it's 467, 477, I think, on intake and exhaust. So we're going to get a tune in it and see what we can get out of it the way it is. It's got ProMaxx heads, brand new forged pistons. It's been a subject of videos before. When I bought this engine from a local machine shop, they said it was ready to go. I took it all apart, had a clearance issue, so I fixed that, and I got all the clearances between 2,000 and 3,000 now. Basically rebuilt it again, and so I got my stamp on it now. And ProMaxx heads, it's got 10.7 compression ratio, but sounds a little high, aluminum heads. But the ideal thing that we aim for is compression cylinder pressure. So I did a compression test on it just before we brought it here. 175 pounds, 174 to 176 range. And if you've heard me talk about compression before, that's what I aim for. Not everybody agrees with that. Some people like to use more. My target is 180 or less. So 175 is a pretty nice number. So we're not worried about detonation. We're going to put a tune in it with a 750 Holley that belongs to Daryl first. And once again, then we're going to change rockers on the intake, see what happens. Change rockers on the exhaust, see what happens. And then we're going to get into the carburetors. Austin's going to take over, and he's got a whole bunch of Quadrajet adapters. This is not a Quadrajet manifold, so he's going to adapt it. And let's see how that goes. So thank you for watching and listening. Please like and subscribe. We're going really good lately. We've had a pretty nice month. Record month so far in June, and that we need to keep that going to make it worth doing all this stuff. So hang in there, lots more to come. We're going to do videos of the engine running and all the tests and changing rockers and carburetors, and hopefully you'll find it interesting. Thank you for watching Gold's Garage. Okay, here we are at the next stage, Daryl and I in the dyno cell. So we've made 3 or 4 runs with the engine the way I brought it, still with the 1.5 rockers, trying to get the timing and carburation right first before we make a change. So I'll let Daryl tell you what we did so far and where we're at. So
we did a few runs. We started out at 31 degrees just to make sure everything's good. Bumped it up to 38. A little bit too much. Dropped it back at 35. Tried it at 36. 37 seems to be its happy spot. We're so far at 5,500. We made 385 horse, and at 3,900 we're 430 foot-pounds of torque. So everything seems to be good. That seems to be our best run so far. And there's the graph. Got a nice graph, nice and smooth all through the power range. Got a real nice torque curve to it. onto the torque real good. So this engine's gonna pull really good. That's with my 750 dyno carb, the Holley annular booster, and we're gonna do some rocker changes now and see if we can get some more power, and then we'll do carburetor stuff after.
Just one more thing to add, we have taken it to 6,000 just to see, and we're at peak horsepower at 5,700, Darrell?
Yeah, that's where it's
5,700, so we just wanted to know. No valve float, the engine runs nice and clean right to 6,000. So I'm going to shut down now, and next thing is changing rockers, and we've got Austin standing by with his Quadrajet adapters, and we're going to try the Quadrajet too, but we'll do one thing at a time. Okay, we're back in the dyno cell. We have gone to the 1.6 rockers on the intake only, and they're going to let Darrell tell you how that went. So go ahead, Darrell.
all right. So I'm just going to start out with what our results were. Before, with the 1.5 rockers on it, our average horsepower was 326 horsepower, and with the 1.6 it was 329. Average torque with the 1.5s was 404, and average torque with the 1.6s was 407.7. We round up, it was 408 here. We peaked out, we gained 10 horsepower from 385, or actually 11, because we went 397. We were 385 before, so yeah, the 1.6 rocker on the intake made a huge difference. Funny thing was, I noticed the average for the CFM is exactly the same.
Is that right? Eh?
Yeah,
okay.
that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's
the volumetric efficiency went up 1%. It went from 104 to 105. So there was a change there, but
right,
the CFM was fine. It didn't change.
And we still got the 750 Holley carburetor on it. Lots of discussion here whether a 650 might actually work better. We might give that a try.
Here's the graph.
Pardon?
Here's the graph.
Oh, there's
if
the graph.
Wants to have a look at it? You want to zoom in on that, Dave?
Nice fat torque curve.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a real great torque curve. It's nice and flat.
Power,
it'll pull real good.
Maximum power hangs in there, really nice value, 55, 5,600 or so.
Yeah, it's got a nice flat horsepower curve too.
Yeah, so that's going to be nice. So we are going to follow plan and go to 1.6 on the exhaust. A little controversy whether that's going to help or not, but we'll find out. Okay, we have done phase 2. We've changed rockers on the exhaust side as well. And I got to say at this point, I'm a pretty lucky guy. When I met Darrell Waters and found out about Darrell Waters' dyno service, I met some really cool guys. Dave Forrest, who's holding the camera for me today, filling in. And Austin Ward. We worked together to change these rocker arms in pretty record time. Everybody worked together, and so we've changed intakes and exhausts. And let Darrell tell you what the results were.
Okay. Started out, Austin and I both didn't think the exhaust, or putting the 1.6s on the exhaust was going to help. We thought it was going to hurt it. And we were wrong. So before, with the 1.6s only on the intake, we were 329 average horsepower. We went up to 330 average horsepower. For the torque, we were 407.7 and we're 408.4 average. So we went from we had 397 peak horsepower to 402. So it helped it everywhere. And the graph looks fantastic as well. Got a nice smooth climb all the way through, kind of levels off here and then climbs again. And the torque on it comes up and carries across very well. So this engine's going to pull really hard. It's going to feel like it's got more power than what it really does. I think it's going to work good.
Thanks, Darrell.
Yeah.
Just one additional point. We've taken it just to make sure to 6,000 RPM now on almost every pull, and the engine runs clean right to there. In fact, peak horsepower is 5,900, right?
Yeah.
So we got our 402 horsepower. So I got to put it in there. This engine's for sale, guys. Anybody out there in YouTube land that's interested in a nice small block Chev engine, 355, that'll work well in an Impala or a truck or a Corvette or a Nova or whatever you got, get a hold of me and we can make a deal. So next we're going to put on Austin's Quadrajet Carburetor and see how it compares to the 750 Holley. Okay. Maybe describe, Austin, what you're doing with the metering rods.
We just put in different meter rod with a different tip.
What number? Is there a number?
Tip, and now we've got a 44 tip, and these were CV rods because they use letters instead of numbers.
Okay.
And I have a chart that tells me what a CV rod is for size, and we put a DA in there to try it because we thought it might want a little more fuel.
Okay.
So we'll try that and see how it goes.
So it looks like 397.9, 398 at 5,700 with the Quadrajet and 420 foot-pounds of torque, I guess. 419.
You're not 0.5, so we can't.
No, okay, so 419. So we compare that to the Holley. We did have 430 torque on the Holley and 402 horsepower. So pretty close, but go ahead, Daryl.
I hadn't really got to see how much do my fuel numbers yet, but it's a good working carburetor. I like the way it spreads out the horsepower and the torque. Seems to have a real nice. The Holley had a higher peak through here and then carried and fell off, and I find that the Quadrajet's got a real nice long arc torque to it. Seems like it's put it in a different spot in the RPM range. It's kind of neat how the different carburetors. It must be something to do with the fuel distribution or something in the intake manifold.
How's the averages look compared to?
There's 399 average. You're 408 average torque with the Holley, and 399 with the Quadrajet, and 330 average horsepower, and you're 324 with the Quadrajet. Brake specific numbers are a little lower on the Quadrajet, so there's a chance it might need some more fuel.
I'm gonna still put more fuel in it. I think we got a little bit of a leak in our adapter plate there because we couldn't quite get it perfect.
Backing leak.
We might have a little bit. That's why it's having trouble idling.
Oh, okay.
We couldn't get the adapter I wanted to use. Have the right pieces to make it work.
Right. I'll change some more rods. Change the rods.
Yep. I'm gonna change some more rods and make it a little richer. See what it does.
Yeah. See if it brings up the.
Got all kinds in here. I know there's a K in there right now. I'm just going to get one out of the other.
What rods did you have in there first, Austin?
I had CVs.
CEs, okay.
The K hanger. And then I went to DAs, and now I'm just going to put a different hanger in it.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up here. We got the whole team and not even a chair for me today. That's just the way it goes. But these guys did all the work, so they get the rest. So before I get go any further, a shout out to Trevor Culver last night. I'm on his team, Super Stock at Delaware Speedway. He won the 50-lap feature. He won it by 0.19 of a second. It was so close, I couldn't tell who won. That's how close it was when they crossed the finish line. Anyway, good for Trevor. It's 2 wins out of 4 races. So let's get back to the engine. So what we did today, these guys stepped up and helped me out. I've already introduced them. Dave Forrest and Austin Ward, and you already know Daryl, DYNO Daryl. So I'll give you a quick summary. What we did, we started with the engine the way I brought it here. We dynoed it. Then we put 1.5 rockers on the intake and dynoed it. And then we put 1.5 rockers on the exhaust and we dynoed it. 1.6. Sorry. Thank you. We put 1.6 rockers. When we changed it, we went from 1.5 to 1.6 on the intake and then on the exhaust. And we got, I'll let Daryl sum up the power numbers. And then we went to Quadrajet Carburetor. So I think of Austin as my Quadrajet guy, and I think of Dave as my Holley guy, but really they both build Holleys and Quadrajets. But we kind of had a carburetor shootout here today, and it came pretty close. So Austin took over when we went to the Quadrajet carburetor, so I'm going to let him tell you all the steps he took to get the results, and Daryl's going to tell you what the results were in the end here. So,
well, when I took over, I originally was coming down with one of my race carburetors to use on this engine, and it really wasn't suited for it. So I threw together pretty well a stock Quadrajet and started out there. And it was a little bit not enough fuel, and wasn't quite the right setup. So we honed in on that, adding different metering rods. And you can get a whole assortment of metering rods if you scour the junkyards. Well, anymore, there's hardly any of these left in the junkyards, but that's where I got them at one point and another. And you can buy about 4 of these different metering rods still from, I think Edelbrock makes them. But anyway, you change these like you do jets in a Holley. And so we richened it up, and then we went with different hangers. And the hangers pull the metering rod further up, and they're tapered, so it comes out of a fixed orifice, and it richens it up the same way you would with a Holley by changing jets. So we got the fuel numbers where they should be, and that's pretty well. It's a stock Quadrajet, other than I think I just did a little bit of sealing of some spots that are known to leak, and other than that, it was not really any modifications to it. And we got to the point where we made pretty well the same peak number in horsepower as the Holley. Not quite the same torque, but we also had a different adapter plate, and they had a 4-hole adapter on the Holley, and this was an open adapter. Could have lost some torque there, but I think they were pretty comparable in the end.
good. Okay. Get the last word, Dave. So.
Sure.
Dave's my Holley guy.
Yeah, well, we use Daryl's DYNO 750 double pumper Holley. It's box stock, out of the box. No modifications, stock jetting. We've used this engine this carburetor on a bunch of engines.
Oh, yeah.
And this carburetor works pretty flawless. We looked at the CFM numbers on the dyno. Maybe a 650 double pumper might have made a little bit more power, a little bit more torque, but the 750 worked flawless. And depending on the vehicle, you might want to go with a vacuum secondary. So heavier vehicles, they prefer vacuum secondaries. Lighter car, 4-speed cars, high stall converters, we'd run the mechanical, and this thing would perform flawless. Both carburetors worked really, really good. The Holley made a bit more torque. Horsepower numbers, wow. Really, really close.
By the way, we're going to have Dave back on July 13th. Todd Brown's 389 Pontiac GTO engine. It's been the subject of quite a few of my previous videos. So we're going to dyno Todd's engine, and Dave's bringing an assortment of Holleys for Todd, and whatever one he likes the best, he's bringing home with him. So watch for that on the 13th. So I'll let Daryl sum up. Daryl's into the controls, and he's kind kind of keeping these guys apart, as you can see. So
yeah, I didn't want to get in the middle of this, but apparently they put me in the middle anyways. But both carburetors worked well. The engine works really good. It's got a great torque curve. It's going to pull really well, and if you stick that in a Nova, I think it'd be a rocket for sure. The difference between the two carburetors, the Holley made 0.2 more peak horsepower than the Quadrajet.
The Quadrajet made 0.2 more.
Oh, no, yeah, right. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
I got it.
Yeah, I know. Quadrajet guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
0.2 more
You gotta
horsepower
notice
than.
that.
Yeah, well, that's why I didn't want to get in the middle of this. You guys are picking on me already. Yeah, the Quadrajet made 0.2 more horsepower than the Holley did. The average numbers for horsepower and torque, the Holley did beat it on that. But, I mean, Austin covered most of the points on why that probably happened. And we did have a little conversation off camera that the weather could have changed from the earlier on in the day till now. So there's a few factors that could cause it. But all in all, both carburetors worked fantastic.
They were within 4 or 5 horse of each other.
Yeah,
really.
Sure.
right. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you could spend all day trying 3 or 4 different carburetors, and it would be, you're doing onesie twosie. It's the guys on Engine Masters say when you're getting that closer, you're just kind of wasting time and wearing the engine out, kind of thing. But all in all, it worked out. It was a pretty good day, and both carburetors worked pretty good, I think. So it's whichever you want. The diehard Chevy guys, they're going to go for the Quadrajet because it looks right on the Chevy, and it's no different than me and my Chryslers. I like my thermoquads and my Carter AFVs, so it's all basically, we just proved that it doesn't matter which one you put on, it's whatever you like. They both work the same. So.
good point. Thanks, Daryl. So just to sum up, 402 horsepower and 430 foot-pounds of torque were our total numbers. Out of my little 355, I got to get it in there again. It is for sale. That's why I built it. I don't have a use for it. That's what I do. Anybody's interested, as Daryl said, it'll work good in a Nova. It'll work good in a Monte Carlo or a Impala or a truck even.
Yeah, say that kind of torque, you can go with a pickup truck too.
Sure, pickup truck, 430 foot-pounds of torque, way down there at 4,000 RPM. So it'll be fine. So thank you for watching. We made this video because you told us to, and we had a little deal with Bill Little, and Bill's still on vacation, by the way. He started talking about Quadrajets.
I want to catch you there about Bill Little. If he'd have been here, he's the real expert on Quadrajets, and because he was was a mechanic when they were being used in service on the road, and he learned a lot more about them than I know, and he probably would have been able to beat the Holley everywhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say he wouldn't. He wouldn't have stopped until he beat the Holley.
Well, there you go. We'll have Bill back. So Bill started all this, by the way, talking about Quadrajets. Lots of interest in Quadrajets. People asking us to do testing on Quadrajets, and Austin. We're all kind of students of Bill Little, I guess. And Austin did the work to get the best out of that Quadrajet. He actually gained quite a bit from where you started to where you finished. So that was worth the time. And so we did that. We also did the rocker arm deal. And just to sum up, if you haven't watched all the details, we made more power by going to 1.6 on the intakes. And we made more power again when we made 1.6 on the exhaust. We kind of didn't think we would, but we did. So that was a good change overall. So this engine has 1.6 rockers on it now. Thank you very much for sticking with us and watching. Hope you found this interesting. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching Gold's Garage.